Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Potluck, your everything and anything talk and entertainment TV show. My name is Laura Hartman, and I am your host. Today we have a wonderful guest joining us who is going to teach us a thing or two about lighting and electricity inside and outside of our homes. With me, I have the owner of Superior Electric Services, which is a 5-star business servicing Maryland and Virginia. We have Rich Edmands, so welcome to the show.
Thank you, Laura. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing?
Wonderful.
Good, good. So tell me about your company and like when you started it. It's, how it's family run.
Okay. My business, Superior Electrical Service, it was started in 1992 by me, pretty much in the back of my car, and it was, I had planned on being in business pretty much since I worked for my grandfather and father in the 70s. So I got my master electrician's license in 1991 and then started Superior Electrical Service in 1992. Sounds easy, but it definitely wasn't. So anyway, started out, and it was it started out of my house and out of my car, and then we started with taking over a project from the company I was working for, and then we branched into other commercial projects, and then from there we went into what I really love, which is residential work.
Okay.
And that's where I am right now.
Okay.
27 years later.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you do residential, commercial, lighting,
industrial,
and okay. So over time, I'm sure you have seen like a lot of changes with electricity and different types of lighting. So what's your favorite? Like, I mean, like in today's world, and what was your favorite back when you started back in the 90s?
I think in the 90s it was more utilitarian. It was just getting my feet on the ground and just doing whatever lighting projects came across the phone, whatever electrical work came across the phone.
Okay.
The phone, I said. It was, the internet really wasn't happening yet so much, with my company. But anyway, so it was mainly, we did recessed lighting in houses. We did whatever the architects and builders had put out for us to do.
Okay.
I didn't choose much of what I would do until I really went into business, and then I started doing more lighting design. Okay, okay. Yeah.
And I understand, like, when you do your lighting, you also will do painting if it's necessary?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I've found that the painting part of it, when you can light up a room and then paint it as well, it makes a huge difference. And then the color, of course, is very important.
Right. And do you help the owners pick out colors for the rooms, or are you the one that says, no, this is the color you need to go with?
Okay. I've dabbled into that a little bit, but generally it's up to the interior designer or the homeowner. I like to go with what they like. That's a good question, because when we have a room that's in the colors that they've chosen, I try to light it so it accents those colors.
Okay.
You don't want to use yellow light with a yellow room per se.
Okay.
Or that's just an example. And you want, like, more contemporary might have a different color of light. So versus a warm, cozy, warm tone, 2700 Kelvin.
Right.
Room. So I generally go with what they have in the room. We're usually coming in and we're lighting up a space that is already painted and already furnished.
Okay.
So I just try to accentuate what they have. I might walk in and see this, and I might, say, hey, we really need to shut all the other lights off and just hit this. It might be a sculpture, might be a painting on the wall, might be a family portrait.
Okay.
Something where we can just accentuate that.
Got it.
Highlight that.
Okay, great. So do you educate your customers about the different types of lighting? Because, I mean, like, in my house, I just go out and buy light bulbs, and that's it. So
I need to come to your house.
Yeah, you do. Because I mean, we're just, I guess, as an average homeowner, you're just used to what's there. But I'm sure, like, there are homes that you go in and you're like, wow, and it's been, you know, professionally done by somebody like you. So do you teach people how to, like, keep it like that? And, you know, because dust and, you know, different times of the day where light comes in, it makes it different. So do you help them to understand, you know, what you're doing and how they can keep it that way?
Absolutely. I look at the space and I see what, I might talk to them about what is important. Okay, that's a big general term, but I'd say find out what they're, you know, how they're using the space. I went into a condo recently and he had just, Jeff, he mentioned that this photo reminded him, this painting reminded him of his two daughters.
Mm-hmm.
It was a, I don't know the name of the painting. It's but anyway, it's two daughters sitting on a park bench, and his lighting was way off. So he had two track fixtures that were hitting this in just two odd places. So all I did was adjusted it so that it just outlined the painting, and
okay.
It just made a huge difference, and he really appreciated that. And then dimmed the light down to where it should be, and he really appreciated that. That's just one little thing. I mean, it was existing lighting, he already had it.
Right.
But then we went out to another space that he has where it's his patio. This is in a condo on like the 14th floor, and he has a very urban setting. So we put in, and I chose urban style light fixtures that would accentuate, and then even surface mount the conduit, kind of gives it that nice urban feel.
Okay.
So that's generally what I do. I'll walk through the space and see how they're using it.
Okay.
I love it when I go into a space where somebody really appreciates, like if you went into an art gallery.
Right,
you can see, I mean, that's what they're trying to do with the light, and sometimes you walk into people's houses and that's actually what they're trying to do.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Now, for people, let's talk about like how lighting can affect your health. There are people that are just not winter people, or they don't like the dark, or just some people have disorders or whatever you want to call it. How can your services help? Or I know you probably have helped a number of people in that respect.
I have. It's a great question. We did in Rockville, Maryland. One of our customers wanted to light up his basement. His office was in the basement, and all right. So picture this: you're going into the basement. You're walking down the steps into the dungeon, right? And it is he's using table lamps, and then his fluorescent lighting is, it's like cool white, but half the bulbs are burned out. So anyway, he happened to be a psychologist that worked at NIH. So I explained to him, and he had a sun box on his table. Mm-hmm. So what we did, this is early on, I'd say this is probably 94, 95. So we took the sun box, we took the tubes out, and we found out what color that they were using.
Okay.
And we basically we changed his fixtures to give him enough light into his office. And then we lit up his office with that color of light. Okay. And the next time I was there, I didn't do it, my guys did. And he was ecstatic when I saw him. He was very happy with it, that we were able to do that. And then he referred us to a few other people too.
Oh, great.
And it makes me feel good that we can do that, because he admitted that he had that, I think it's seasonal adjusted disorder.
Yes.
That he had that. And so it's just helping them with that. Now that's one thing. And then I think with, say, a child in their homework, where they're doing homework, they need good light.
Yeah.
It makes them feel better. You can put the right light can help their performance, can help improve what they're seeing on how they're using their space. I don't want to get too much into that, but I just know it does help.
Right.
And one last thing I will say, and I had this experience myself. I was working in a very cold warehouse where it was a newspaper distribution plant, and they had a very dimly lit with incandescent light, which is typically 2700 Kelvin, and it was just a very yellow amber light and it was very poorly lit. And these guys were trying to distribute papers from all over the world. Long story short, it was we went in and we lit up his table. It was an L-shaped table with just fluorescent lighting at the time. Okay, and I think we did about 4 times 8, 32 feet, and then another, I think it was 40 feet total. So anyway, we did 5 fixtures, 4 lamps in each, and the actual lens directed the light, so it put all the light pretty much right on the table. Now what happened is that now you get ambient light from that as well, but it really lit up the space, and then his employees commented on how much that they appreciated it too. The experience I had was when I lit it up, I was like, wow, what a difference.
Wow.
Now, once again, of course, that means I'm just about finished too. Don't get me wrong. So that's another nice positive feeling. But it really, I stood back and said, what a difference that makes.
Yeah, I'm sure it helps with people's visions too, because
yes,
how the eyes work. I've done like vision therapy where your eyes, lighting makes a huge difference, on how you're focusing and stuff. So, wow, that's great.
The last one was I got the pleasure of working with Fabre and Associates years and years ago, and we lit up their conference room. And at that time, they put in 3,500 Kelvin. I'd never heard of cool white, basic old office lighting was 4,200 Kelvin. They put in 3,500 Kelvin. They had these XPX lamps, 3,500 Kelvin. And I just thought when I walked into that conference room, now they're architects. They know color. They know how to really light up a room. But when they put that color in, it was perfect. I thought that was the most perfect that they could ever have lit that room. It was beautiful. Their whole space on Connecticut Avenue. This is many years ago. But anyway, that's another experience that I had. So I think I appreciated more of the lighting part of it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So with your commercial business, or the commercial part of your business, have you done like restaurants where they put the little light bulbs outside?
Oh my goodness, yeah. We did, not to name drop, but we did Volt Restaurants in Frederick, very nice restaurant, and they did. We did their outdoor patio, and with festoon lighting. That's really popular now. Is that like different colored lighting? No, it's actually, it looks like carnival lighting where you have just an incandescent bulb that's on strings, where it's usually swagged from one end to the other. Where they'll do a lot of different patterns with it, but we chose just to do a straight line pattern. Right. But it shows, it definitely swags to the center, just drops a little bit, but then it has individual bulbs, so it gives a nice warm feeling, but it's not overpowering light. Like you want a nice seating area, say for dining, so you don't, where it's intimate, you don't want a lot of light blasting, so it just gives just the right amount of light.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it is. We lit up a beer garden in Loudoun County a couple of years ago. It was at a bowling alley in Loudoun County. And that was a nice compliment to their restaurant as well. And then they told us how much that their customers, how much that they could use it. I mean, immediately as soon as the lights went on, they were using it. It was great.
Wow.
So
and presentation is like everything, especially when you're in business.
Sure.
So yeah, that's great. Yeah. So for people that are really green or want to like be conservative, what are recommendations? I mean.
Well. Good question. Definitely anything nowadays, just about any type of lighting is going to be LED, and LED lighting, and it's the bulbs last a lot longer, and they're so much more efficient. And then LEDs have evolved from that blue obnoxious guy in your rearview mirror that's following that color that was the original LEDs to now there's all different colors of LED, and then intensities, different lumen levels, and that's really what's taken over the industry right now. I saw that whole evolution of 15 years ago or so when they started coming out replacing recessed lighting with LEDs, and then now it's just second nature. The people, when they're building a house, they're putting LED fixtures in. LED recessed lighting, LED under cabinet lighting, just about utility lighting, say garages, basements, because they're so much more efficient. The maintenance factor has gone down considerably because you would take a fluorescent fixture that lasted 10,000 hours, now at best, and then an LED is typically from 25,000 hours to 40,000 hours. So
Okay.
you don't have to change the bulbs, and then they last a lot longer too.
Okay.
And are a lot more, well, they last a lot longer and they're a lot more efficient.
Right, right. So,
So that would be my suggestion
Okay.
and then light dimmers as well. Dimmers do save electricity.
oh,
So that's another, if they're going green, a light dimmer can save electricity as well.
just because they can,
Yes,
just 'cause
because
they can move it up and down.
basically a dimmer works, there's a lot, I'm not going to get in to bore you with the technical side of it, but a lot of the dimmers nowadays, it's not like throwing a resistor in the middle of where it just cuts down the voltage. It actually limits the amount of time that the bulb is actually on. That's what you're actually seeing with
Okay.
a dimmer.
Oh.
With not being on as much, you're not seeing as light for as long. So anyway.
Okay, it's sort of like your cell phone where you can dim the light on your cell phone and
Yeah.
it saves the battery?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so then they do save electricity.
Okay.
And they're, can create a better, environment too.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So out of all the things that you like install or you do, like what's the coolest thing that you have that a lot of people maybe not, they won't know about but would really appreciate?
Well, I'd say just from our customers lately, the floodlights, the Ring floodlights, RING, and there are some other brands out there, but the ones that are, when somebody walks up to that's a doorbell, but the Ring floodlights, it has a camera built into them.
Okay.
Where somebody can actually see who's
Who's
in
at the
their
door.
yard or at the door, exactly. And then the information goes straight to their cell phone, and then they can call the person on the phone if they want.
Right, right.
Or communicate with them that way. So it's.
And they can even let them in too, right?
Yes.
I've seen that there's a commercial.
Or tell them where the key is stashed
Okay.
or something like that.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
that's really cool. We do home generators as well. Those are pretty
Okay.
cool on our part too. Boy, hadn't thought of that. What's really cool, I really like lighting projects.
Okay.
I do. That's what's really cool to me. Improving people's spaces just with lighting.
Right, right.
Another thing that really is cool when I get to work with a client that likes, say, I go into a kitchen where they don't have pendant lighting over, say, the peninsula or the island, and I always tell them, pick something out you like, and go bold. Please get a fixture you really like. Do your homework on it, and then I tell them, please call me for sizing. I can help you size the fixture. But when it comes to that part of it, I generally will stay out of what they choose.
What if they insist that you choose it?
Oh, well, I'm happy to do that.
Because there are some people that are just so busy with the rest of their life.
I'd love to do that.
Okay.
I like to see. Usually, I will say, okay, if they have white cabinets, let's not pick a white fixture.
Right. Okay.
I mean, everybody, that's pretty common sense. But you'd be surprised.
Yeah, I'm
okay,
sure.
But if they have stainless steel appliances, we might or brushed nickel, we might choose a fixture. What's very popular now are the ones from Restoration Hardware, kind of that industrial look, make some beautiful pendants, and then rejuvenation lighting for period lighting. If I do a lot of historic preservation as well with lighting.
Okay.
And just so it's however they're using the space. I really would like to work with people on that, but usually I encourage them to choose
For themselves,
something.
right, right.
And then they can always email or call me or send me pictures of what they have.
Sure,
We
sure.
just lit up a dining room, and I complimented, I commented to the homeowner how nice of a job she did choosing it. I sent them over to a small shop in Frederick, Maryland, light and day, and I told them, please just take pictures of your dining room, show it to them, and then she picked out a perfect fixture for it. I mean,
wow.
I don't think a designer could have done a better job.
Oh, wow.
Really, it's just
Yeah.
So I think that, and then they even use the teated bulbs, the like glass blown looking bulbs now that are LED.
Okay.
So you have those even in LED these days too.
Right, right.
So that I kind of encourage them to pick it out
Okay.
because it's such a personal thing.
Sure.
And I
And they have to
remind
live
them
with it.
that, like say with a pendant or a chandelier, it's a focal point. When somebody walks in, I will remind them, hey, the first thing that they're going to see when they walk into your kitchen is that pendant or that fixture, because it's pretty much right in your face.
Okay.
So anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So speaking of historical sites or homes, have you ever gotten into where, like, because the electrical was so old, what do you do in that type of instance? You have to, like, have you been to houses where everything needs to be replaced and then?
Within reason, I have. We have rewired complete houses. We usually, if they're not demoing the walls, if they're not demolishing all the drywall, plaster, you know, then we can work with what they have now. Oftentimes we have to add to the lighting. Say for example, they have, the old dining room had a chandelier.
Okay.
It's a huge dining room, but we need more light. We can do valance lighting, cove, you know, something that's just indirect and light the room up just to show the room off. Then we could do recessed lighting. Now, you wouldn't think a historic preservation would have recessed lighting, but recessed lighting is indirect. You're not even supposed to notice the fixture.
Okay.
So you can light up a space.
So explain those to.
Well, if you were to use, say you were to take a valance or cove molding, you can build the lighting into that where it just reflects off the ceiling. If you have a white ceiling, that's a perfect, perfect surface to throw light at, and then it's just going to reflect back down, or it's to the floor. So that's a great way to light a room, and you don't even notice the fixtures. You just see the light, if you will. And so it doesn't take away from anything else in the room. Like if they have antiques, or that's one way. Wall sconces, I love wall sconces, and they're typically in older. There's new wall sconces, old, but in older houses you might suggest putting wall sconces in, and then help them choose the right wall sconces, something that would complement their chandelier or the same period or the same fixture. You know, the same family of light fixture. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So with historic preservation, we've done everything from, we'll take a fixture from their house, and I'll take it to a small shop, and I'll have it rewired and polished. Say it's usually they're brass.
Right.
Polished and then reconditioned, and then I'll even have them rewired, or we will rewire it, and then new bulbs, and voila, it just really turns out.
Oh wow.
Yeah, people appreciate that. It's a service that we do.
Sure.
It's something, sometimes it's an heirloom of theirs, or
Right.
it's just something that was in their house that they really liked.
Right.
And then there is definitely that wow factor when it looks brand new.
Sure.
And
so also in those houses, and also in today's homes, the boxes that you go when the power goes out and you go to the switch box. What changes can be made there? Because
that's the first place, as I always tell my employees, to go to start at the source. Okay, so I didn't start at the source in what you asked, but with the breaker panel, what we typically do is, if it is, say it's fuses or old circuit breakers, well, we'll do a heavy up, what's called a heavy up. That just means bringing more power into the house. But what that does is they'll put new circuit breakers, they'll take all the old circuits, tie them into new circuit breakers, and then what that does is you can then put in all the latest and greatest safety devices. You can put arc fault protection in, you can put ground fault protection in with those circuit breakers, and where if they have an existing circuit, you might want to arc fault protect it.
What does that mean?
It just means you're protecting from arcs that happen with electrical fires. So what will happen where there's an arc, there can be a fire. So basically it's a sophisticated breaker with a lot of electronics that will shut off when there's an arc.
Okay.
They will compensate for, like when you plug your vacuum cleaner and might see an arc there. It's different.
Okay.
It's a different type of arc. It reads it. The circuit breaker will read it differently. That's an arc fault.
Okay. So that can protect a fire from getting worse if there was a fire.
And the statistics will prove that they do work.
Okay.
So it's good. And that's something that, if you have an old house, you can put a new panel in, new circuit breakers, and you can have that protection. Plus, usually when you're doing a heavy up, it's for more circuits too. Like they're adding lighting, they're adding appliances, kitchen remodel, you name it, adding rooms. creating new workspaces in
Okay.
houses, so you need more space. That's
Okay.
one of the things that, you know, that's usually what drives heavy ups.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we're kind of running short on time, but
Wow, okay.
just one more question. So, since the holidays are coming up and people are decorating outside, do you ever run into situations where people's power like completely goes out because they've overpowered their house? And how do you know how to power your house, like with that type of with outdoor lighting?
Well, usually what happens is that the lighting that they're putting in will trip the GFI receptacle that they're plugging into, and overloads, because everything's LED now, they're not happening as much, which is good.
Okay.
So overloads, but they do trip because of water. So all those lights that people are putting out, they're getting saturated with rain or snow, and then they might trip the GFI. And you know, we can walk them through. Might need to dry out, or they might need to replace them.
Okay.
So we can check that out. But usually nowadays, what we'll do is we'll put in. Somebody will want to put lighting in for the holidays. We'll put receptacles. We'll install new receptacles with GFI protection with what's called an in-use cover, so that it protects the cord and the connection while it's in use.
Okay. Well, I have to break here because, thank you so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
And if you're just tuning in, make sure you catch us on the web at www.potluck-online.org. And if you're interested in, you know, maybe having somebody come and check out your lighting in your house, your electricity, your panel, you can get, your website is
www.superiorelectricalservice.com.
Okay, and you have social media or anything?
We do have a Facebook page.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.